Hey, good morning, everyone. Happy Monday to you. Chuck here, coming at you again. Of course, not from the basement, as you can see. I'm upstairs in the office. Decided to do a video up here this morning before I head downstairs to work out. I just want to, first, hope that you all were able to have a relaxing and enjoyable weekend. It's so important for us, especially dealing with this pandemic, to be able to take that time to step away and just take a deep breath and enjoy some of the things that we're still very blessed to have. We had a great weekend here in the house. My youngest son, CA, turned 10, so we were able to celebrate his birthday. He wanted to make some homemade pizzas, watch some movies. We were able to do that on Saturday, and it was really enjoyable for all of us. Another thing, on Sunday, I was listening to a sermon from Pastor Stephen Furtick. It was really good and made some great points that I wanted to share with you guys. And regardless of what your religious affiliation is, your faith system, any of that, these points really matter across the board, and they really talk about what we're facing right now with this pandemic. And his sermon was about getting back to normal, or what is the new normal. So many of us have said the phrase, I want to get back to normal. I want things to get back to normal. But I think if we really look at it, and I know from my perspective and from my wife Jen, as we've talked about this, is things aren't going to be normal as we know them. When this pandemic moves on, there's going to be a lot of things that have changed, not only personally in our lives, but I think in the way, worldwide we interact with each other. Some of the systems and some of the things that we were so used to that have been taken away from us, we found alternatives, or we're doing things a little differently. And I think some of those things are going to stick with us, and we're gonna have a new normal, if you want to call it that. But one of the things that we have to be careful of in this time is that we don't, because we're afraid, because we look out and we're not sure exactly what the new normal is going to look like. We're not sure what it's going to look like. The comparison he gave is we're kind of like we're at a Red Sea moment. So we're at that moment where we're at the Red Sea and we know we need to cross, and we're trying to get away from what was behind us, this virus, and we're trying to move over, but we don't know how we're going to get through. We don't know how we're going to walk through that Red Sea. And in moments like that, when we're fearful and we don't know what the future holds, many times we end up running back to something that we call normal, which was really what was familiar to us. And the problem is, if we are so fearful of moving forward, that we want to go back to things that we are familiar with, but they may not have been good for us. What if the things that we're trying to run back to were things that did not bring fulfillment in our lives, caused us stress, did not advance, our minds, our hearts, our spirits in any way? What if these were things that were negative on our lives, and because they were normal to us and they felt like the normal pace of life, we long to go back to that, because we're fearful of what lies ahead of us. One of the things Jen and I have talked about many times since this epidemic, this virus, this pandemic came on us is, what are the things that we want to change now that we've been forced to stop? And I think that's the beauty of one of the things that this virus has done for so many of us, is it's caused us to stop. And so in this moment where we've stopped the busyness of our lives, we've been able to kind of look back and say, okay, what is it that we need to change? Now that we look back and we have the quiet time and we can reflect, what are those things that we need to change? What are those things within our personal lives, that we need to change? Do we need to change, the people that we interacted with, the people that we allowed in our circle? Because right now, your circle is probably very small right now. Your circle may have even changed. You're probably reaching out to family members and friends that you haven't reached out to as much as you should have in the past, because those are the people that you're truly relying on now. What your work situation? Many of us, are still working. There are many who are not working right now. Has it caused you to look at, what is the career? What is the path that I had chosen? Is that something that I want to continue doing? Now that I can step back, is there something else that I should be pursuing at this time? Even our faith and our belief systems, are tested at this time. And you ask yourself, what is it that I want to do, to get closer, to God, or, to get deeper into my faith and my spirit during this time. Because those same brick and mortar buildings that we've been used to have now been taken away. And how are you still managing with that? There's so much that each of us can reflect on as we deal with this pandemic. There is so much that if we take the time to step back and evaluate, we can see that there are lessons that need to be learned, and there are things that we each need to change in our lives that have become even more relevant as we've taken away some of the noise and some of the busyness and some of the things that we were dealing with before. And so, my challenge to you is, what are those things? Have you taken the time during this time with this pandemic, when some things have been shed away from us? Have you taken the time to ask yourself, what is it that I want my new normal to look like? What are the things that I thought before were so important in my life, and they were so valuable, and I had to do this, and I had to go here, and I had to be a part of this, and those things aren't there anymore, but you're still surviving. And as a matter of fact, in some instances, you're thriving. And so, do you want to go back to what you had before? Do you want everything to be just like it was before, even if it caused you stress, even if it was a negative thing in your life? So I think we should be careful about saying that we want to go back to normal, when many times normal wasn't good for us at all. So again, the challenge today is take that time, take that moment to reflect. Reflect within yourself, reflect with your family. Figure out what are those things that are truly important to you, those things that have come to light as you've dealt with this pandemic situation, that you're like, okay, you know what? This is going to be a little different. When we get past this pandemic stage and we get back to what we were a little familiar with, there are some things that we're going to change. There are some things that we're doing now that we want to continue to do, even when the pandemic is past us. So I just encourage you to do that. And one of the things that I've told myself, one of the things my wife and I have talked about is we don't want to lose. We don't want to lose this moment. We don't want this moment to pass us by, and we've had the chance to reflect. We've had the chance to change some things in our lives, and we didn't. And then once the pandemic has gone by, and then we get months into that post-pandemic area, and we find ourselves stressed again and back in the same things, that we look back and say, man, we had an opportunity to make a change. We had an opportunity to do something different, and we didn't. So that's it, guys. Let's make sure that we take this moment that we have and we do the best that we can to improve our situations, to look at those areas that we need to change and make those changes. Now is the time. Now we have the time. We're at that Red Sea moment where we're going to get through this. We're going to get to the other side. But, like I've said before, what do you want yourself? What do you want to look like on the other side? What do you want your family to look like when you get on the other side? Ask the tough questions, guys. Get those answers. They're within you. Embrace this Monday. Enjoy it as the blessed day that it is. And I look forward to sharing some words with you again in the future. Have a blessed day. Evolution of self. Continue to survive. Continue to stay safe. God bless, guys. Bye-bye.